radio.com. Call the studio at 572-9710 or WhatsApp 287-0971. Or Rev Up office numbers are 572-0383 and 572-0215. Rev Up St. Lucia, the alpha of radio.
Join the United Workers' Party this and every Thursday on Rev Up St. Lucia 97.1 FM for an educational and informative program, Meet the Opposition. Participate in exciting discussions from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Be in the know every Thursday on Rev Up St. Lucia 97.1 from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Join the United Workers' Party this and every Thursday on Rev Up St. Lucia 97.1 FM for an educational and informative program, Meet the Opposition. Participate in exciting discussions from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Be in the know every Thursday on Rev Up St. Lucia 97.1 from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
Speak up and take responsibility when they see something going wrong in this country, in their community, in their houses, in their jobs. It embodies the idea that accountability isn't just for leaders, but for every citizen. Tanya Stevens reminds us of corruption in high and low places only to remind us that because we have a colonial mentality, we see only the oppression that is above us and not the oppression that is among us. Creating a culture of silence in the face of patent wrongdoing is not just acceptable, it is dangerous and it is destructive. And speaking up respectfully and, more importantly, speaking truth becomes a civic duty of every citizen of this country and everyone who chooses to want to live among us, even though not a citizen.
It's now time for another Meet the Opposition, presented as usual by Nancy Charles. Ms. Charles, good morning to you and welcome once again to Rev Up St. Lucia.
Good morning, Andre. Good morning, St. Lucia. I hope everybody is feeling nice and perky this morning. Andre, I am nice and perky. I didn't have coffee or tea this morning. You know, as I'm sitting here, I feel a little grumbling in my belly. I'm like, oh my. I didn't get to have breakfast this morning. I was running late, you know. I'm a busy woman in the morning. I have to take care of my animals, go on the farm, do a little something before I come up. So
let me remind you,
so
you have 2 hours.
And somebody will have to meet me after the show with a nice cup of tea and a sandwich. So let's see what happens, Andre.
But I think we have coffee here.
Okay, well.
I'll send a message.
But good morning, everyone. Like we always say, most of the time when we go to church, Andre, we say, this is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and I will be glad in it. Today is going to be a beautiful day. I want you to be positive about it. And I want to say thank you so much again for taking your time to be with us this morning on 97.1 FM and to be viewing. Those of you who are on social media, I know some of you who are in the diaspora. I want to say thank you very much. Last week, Andre, I think a lot of my Creole folks, they loved the program because we did a lot of Creole. So bonjour to Janset Lissi. Ohasab de lando to ba mwen poudi ya l'anglais because de le ma ha bien expliqué yan Creole et bien patois. Mais na try. C'est pas tous les jours qu'il y a un chayon, mais nous qu'il fait ça. But thank you so much, and I do want to say thank you so much to the people who continue to support me, Andre. I get a lot of messages of people who say they are praying for me. They tell me keep up the good work. Thank you so much for enlightening the nation and bringing out the facts and the information. And I do have to say to you, these are not the typical UWP supporters that I know. These are just ordinary people. Sometimes when I drive around, I meet police officers and they say, Miss Charles, thank you, keep up the good work, or people from all walks of life, So I am very grateful. I do want to say to you to continue to pray for me and continue to pray for my family, because as I'm going to let you know later today, it's very, very important that you continue to cover me in your prayers, because I can certainly say to you, I am stepping on some big, big toes. Some of the information that is coming out is stepping on some big, big toes, St. Lucia, and some people are not happy. Some of them are very upset, and you never know when people are upset what may happen. So, I see somebody say St. Martin is in the house. I do have a lovely, lovely lady from St. Martin who's always listening. But who's this person from St. Martin? Is it Christine Alexander, St. Martin? Good morning. And good morning to all of you. As always, Andre, I do want to start with a little word of encouragement. So my encouragement this morning is, Andre, I was listening to my morning prayer. I normally do a little morning devotion every morning to start off the day on a positive note. And that's one of the things I did encourage you, St. Lucia. When you get up in the morning, while you lie down on the bed, even before you get up, most of the time we take our phone, right, to see what happened in the night. Before you go on Facebook and on Instagram, and even check in your WhatsApp messages, because these can be a little distraction depending on your news. Go to YouTube and just download a little encouragement, a psalm, a song, a word, whatever it is that that you think you need to motivate you for the day. For me, it's normally a prayer. For other person, it may be a song, a good, nice song that is positive or encouraging, or a word of encouragement, a message from somebody speaking some positive notes, whatever it is. And this morning, my prayer was focused on Psalm 23, the 23rd Psalm, which is, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And he maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. The Psalm speaks to all the things that, God is to us. And as I was meditating, Andre, I remember something. And there's nothing in your life that is too small or too insignificant for God to protect you from, Andre. Do you believe that?
Of course.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I can recall a few weeks ago, it was a Saturday. Normally on a Saturday sometimes, that's when I go and buy my feed for my animal, Andre. I do all my rounds and shopping and, and stuff like that. But that particular Saturday, I was very busy on the farm. I had a few things to take care of and to do before I go and buy the feed. Now, the feed depot closes at 12 o'clock. It's right next to the Winwood and Louisville, to the back around that area there. And they close at 12. So I left home maybe about 11:45. My house is not far. And I left home, but I was driving really fast. And I was like, I need to get there before they close, because I need to buy feed for my animal for the following week. I had nothing to give them for the weekend and the following week. And I wanted to rush in town to SNS to get a few things, but my vehicle was also on empty. So I needed to fuel up. So I'm deciding, which one do I do first? Do I go get the fuel, or do I go? And no, I'm going to get the feed, Andre. So I rushed over to the feed depot, and because there's a petrol station around the corner as well, I went to the feed depot, I got the feed, and then I'm rushing, just in time, in the nick of time, about 12 o'clock. I did call the girl to say, listen, I'm coming, wait for me. When you have connections. And then I went to the fuel depot to fuel up, and I need to rush to town to SNS to get something. And whilst the girl is putting the fuel for me, Andre, when you reach certain petrol stations and the people take their time, they open up, then they have to go inside, bring the money, and then they have to pump the gas, and you have to be waiting. You realize what I'm doing, right? And I'm very, very frustrated. I'm like, come on, hurry up. I need to go. These people are so slow, and all kinds of things going on in my head. Andre, I'm frustrated. Hurry up, I need to go. These people are always slow. They don't know people business. We have places to go, things to do. So, as soon as the girl started to, finish pumping the gas, and then she was closing my tank, Andre, I just heard rain. It started to rain. And I have a pickup The animal feed is in the back of my vehicle and it is starting to rain. And when she was done, I switched off and I said to her, now remember all these things were in my head, No, I didn't say that to her. So I switched off and then I said to her, I'm going to stay a little while. Is it okay if I stay a little while at the pump because it's raining and I have feed in the back of my van? She said, yes, no problem. And hey, look, it's raining outside too. I said, Lucia, as I'm saying that. And I think maybe about 10 minutes, Andre, I had to stay packed there because it was raining so heavily that and I mean water gushing down the road and everything. And whilst I'm sitting there, I just started to smile and laugh, and I say, you know what, thank you so much, God, because while I am there being frustrated and flustered that she is taking so long to pump the fuel, I have to go, I have my business to go and do. God was causing that delay because he was protecting my feet from getting wet because the rain was coming, and I didn't see the rain because I'm not looking for rain. I'm looking in front of me that I have to go to town and I have that to do, etc. I'm saying all of that to say to you, St. Lucia, that these little things, while it may seem insignificant and sometimes we don't even look at it that way, these are the ways that God is protecting us. These are the ways that the Bible says that he is the shepherd, the good shepherd, He's leading us beside still waters. He's leading us in the path and in the direction that he knows that is best for us. And so this morning I want to encourage you. Sometimes when I'm driving up the road, Andre, and I'm really late and I'm trying to rush and there's a vehicle ahead of me that's just like a truck or something slowing me down, I just slow down and I relax and I say, thank you, God. Because I know it is his way of saying to me, Nancy, take it easy. Slow down, calm down. I've got this covered. I'll get you there in time, whatever it is, etc. Always, as I always think, every time I meet a truck, a vehicle that is slowing me down on the road, I think that it is God's way of protecting me. Maybe there's an accident that's going to happen up ahead. Maybe I'll be rushing, I'll be doing something crazy, and God is saying to me, just take it easy. So this morning, my encouragement to you is to look at the circumstances and the different situations in your life, especially the things that fluster you, the things that are a little bit frustrating. I want you to think of God being your shepherd, as the Bible says, and realize that he's the one that is leading you, directing you, and taking care of you, and thank him for them. Mm-hmm. That's my encouragement to you this morning.
Thank you very much, Nancy.
All right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh my God, we have a lot of messages. I won't be able to read all of them, but yes. So, Andre, let me breathe.
So much to talk about.
So much to talk about. I did not get to open the lines last week, so I really want to open the lines today to ensure that we can get some calls. Let me hear what your thoughts are. However, let me see if I can go through quickly. Andre, I think sometime this week, was it either Monday or Tuesday?
Monday.
We had celebration of the persons with disability.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about something else. Yesterday.
Yesterday it was.
Yes.
I think they were on the square or the boulevard.
I'm sorry. You're correct. It was Tuesday.
I'm
sorry.
Yes. So I do have quite a few friends who are disabled, and I do want to wish them well. There are some of them who I do have very close relationship with, so I do want to take this opportunity, St. Lucia, and some of the concerns that were raised, especially by the minister, in terms of being more respectful and being more kind to persons with disability on wheelchair, walking stick, etc., and so forth. But not only physical disability, but there are also persons with mental disability and different challenges. Mm-hmm. We need to be a bit more mindful, a bit more courteous and kind and caring to them. So
and I think
I do want to bring that to their attention.
Your son is also facing some challenges.
Yes. So all these are very important. It's important, and I thought I would mention it, and to say to them that you do have an advocate in Nancy Charles, that anytime you need some help, my friend who's listening, you do know it's a personal thing between us. You needed help, came through anytime. It's always anytime. So that's one. Number two, Andre, I wanted to bring to the attention of St. Lucia as well, and it is, I realize that the government is trying very hard to defend facts with fiction. And St. Lucia, so he says to me that something is going to happen next year. Whether the Prime Minister says there's no election soon, but something is going to happen or something is happening. And it is very sad that the government is choosing to defend their position not with facts but with fiction. Why do I say that? Because the United Workers' Party posted a couple of days ago on our social media page about a 17% decline in agriculture. And Andre, this information came out of the Social and Economic Review. And I don't know if you remember, St. Lucia, one time I did bring a copy of the Social and Economic Review, and I indicated to you that this is, whilst the budget, the government will make a budget, it's an estimate or projection of what they are projecting. That is the estimates or the budget. The Economic and Social Review comes in a couple of months after the end of a financial year, Andre, and it is actual data that is gathered from. So the government budgeted or projected to build 10 roads. The Economic and Social Review will tell you, well, they actually built 3 roads, and these are the impacts of that. So it's an actual page or picture of what is happening in the country. And so in the Economic and Social Review, they indicated that the agricultural sector had declined by 17%. Andre, I am listening to the news and I'm hearing a gentleman called Eustace Monrose. Ces farmers ont connaître li bien, hein? Zo obligé connaître li bien, because nous tout changer qui les I am hearing Mr. Eustace Monrose coming out to say that what the United Workers' Party said is not true. It's not overall agriculture that declined. It was only bananas, and because of tropical storm this and another tropical storm, you had a decline in banana, but agriculture did very well. I said to myself, but since when is Mr. Eustace Monrose working for the Ministry of Agriculture? Since when does Monrose work for Department of Agriculture or for the government of St. Lucia or for the St. Lucia Labour Party? And then I remember, yes, this was the same man. He had a runoff one time. You all remember St. Lucia? He was part of a runoff one time for the St. Lucia Labour Party. He wanted to be a candidate, etc. So now I understand that all the ants are coming out to try and defend the party. And so I wanted to remind you again. We posted it on our social media page and we showed it to you. But I just want to remind you again that this is a gentleman who's responsible for the demise of the banana industry. And I have, listen, no regrets in saying that, because he has been instrumental in that banana industry. And whilst he has been on one side raking in millions of dollars, you'll remember that St. Lucia, Whip Deco, and when Whip Deco folded and shares he had, Zopa Henaye. C'est farmer pas joindre rien from ça. But Eustace Monrose had millions of dollars. Il joint tout l'argent il paye. L'argent zopa de sa hen il paye avant zo tout. Exodi jou Eustace Monrose still en fig. So still ni en figure qui ka vindi by about Ministry of Agriculture. Nonsense. Nonsense, St. Lucia. So, let me remind you, you can go online, you can go on the government website, and you can download the Social and Economic Review. All of them are there over the years. Download the one for last year, 2022-2023, on page 32, on page 33, all the way to 38. This is what it's going to tell you. Fishing industry was down by 4.6%. Pork production was down by 41.6%. And I am a pork farmer, I can certainly tell you that. Eggs was down by 7.8%. Non-banana crops was down by 17.3%. Livestock was down by 17.3%. Chicken production was down by 11.7%. And banana was down by 54.5%. And so when I see Lisa Jawaier posting on the St. Lucia Labour Party page saying, oh, Mr. Monrose is speaking about the agricultural sector. Miss Lisa, don't you have a copy of the Economic and Social Review? You're a senator. You would have been a copy of it. Do you even know how to read it or go through it? Have you read it yourself to see what the Economic and Social Review is saying? So I'll ask you to take out that post by Mr. Eustace Monrose, because it's a lie, it's fiction, and it's not fact. And I thought that it was important to let you know, because let me tell you all something. One thing I'm not doing these days, I'm not allowing the Labour Party to get away with nothing. Yo hamati a se by Joseph Lisi. Depuis yo vini by like ipavwe, naido bout you. Naido bout you. Okay? And then the second thing before we go into our thing is this story about the Cacabef. Now I know I have spoken on Newspin. We've given interviews with the media. Guy Joseph has spoken about it. I even called Andre's program, I think a few days ago as well, because the issue came up. And I just want to simplify it for you, St. Lucia. The Cacabef is not sold. My matiek do we person vani. The Cacabef is not sold. All right? What has come up is a lease agreement between Slasper, who owns the Cacabef, and Rubis, who is supposed to supply jet fuel to the airlines as they come in. So there's a lease. But how did we get there?
Sorry.
Right.
I think it's important that you explain exactly what a lease is. I know you may think that people ought to know.
Right.
But you know, a lot of people use lease and sell interchangeably.
Right.
So I think you need to clarify that. The difference between selling and leasing.
So a lease more or less is the same thing as a rental agreement, Andre. The only reason I think that they call it lease in legal terms is because normally you have a rental agreement for every year or every 2 years or something like that. But with a lease agreement, and maybe a lawyer can call and give me all the different technicalities in it. But with a lease, it is just that it's a little bit more long term. Most of the time it's more long term. And then the lease agreement also allows you, because it's long term, it allows you sometimes to use that property, especially if it's property, land, or whatever it is you are leasing. So Andre has a free story apartment, and I am going to lease it for him from him for 20 years. Normally I would rent it. If I'm renting it every year, I'll enter a rental agreement, and every year we will renew the rental agreement. But I am taking a lease on it, meaning I am renting it from him for 20 years. And I can take that lease and I can go to the bank and say, listen, I have this property for 20 years and I would like to take a loan against it, etc., because technically it belongs to me for the next 20 years. And if I don't pay it before, you can take the property, that kind of a thing. So it's a rental, and just like rent, the lease agreement can be revoked. There are certain terms and conditions. If you don't keep to it, that it can be revoked, you can get it back, etc. So you are not selling it. Sell is a deed of sale or a sale. Lease is similar to a rental agreement.
So by the way,
that's what's happening with the Cacabef, and that's also what happened with the DSH project. We never sold the land to T.O. King where the racetrack was. We leased it to him. He has a lease agreement, and at any time, government can say, listen, we would like to terminate the lease and take back our land.
So even in this situation with the Cacabef, the government can decide to...
They can.
All right.
They can very much decide that because they want to terminate the lease, or they do not want to go through with it, or they can delay it or something. And let me tell you why I'm saying that.
Sorry, I asked you that because I heard the sports minister weighing in on saying the government now will be looking to see whether this is something that they could,
they can very well. They can. Because I'll tell you, what transpired, St. Lucia, with the Cacabef, as I said, is when and the airport development project, the very first project that the Labour Party had started, it would have impacted the Cacabef. But I'm not even going there. But when we came in and we did the redesign, what we did was we met with the Racing Association and we said the design of the airport is going to impact you. We understand how important racing is. We understand how critical racing is. So we need to give some assistance in giving you a new location in the meantime.
You said you actually had those talks with the Racing
and they did acknowledge it. Yes, they did acknowledge that.
Who was the leadership?
I can't remember the president, but I know my good friend Russell Lake was involved at the time, and there was another gentleman. But he gave a news story as well. It was in the media. So Russell was involved, and these guys. So that's way back then during that time. So they were aware, Andre, that they were going to be impacted, and we had discussions with them to give them a new location. Further to that, we did a site visit.
Did they have a problem with that, the new location?
Of course we did a site visit for the new location, and land was identified in Dennery South. We identified land, we did a site visit with them, etc. And to the best of my knowledge, there was agreement in principle that yes, they can use the land, but it was going to be very costly, Andre. Because remember, you're starting from scratch. So you had to kind of like create a road, you had to grade, you had to, put all the amenities. The commitment of the Alan Chasney administration at the time was that we will provide some assistance in helping you to move on, to relocate. But I want you to realize that we had not started the project in terms of the airport, so we had never moved them. They still had access to it. They still did the car racing thing, etc. Throughout our tenure, they still had the car racing.
So why was it important for the government at that time to lease that land?
So that is where I'm going to come in, Andre. We had those discussions and we were working with them to identify a new plot of land. However, what transpired is that SLASPA, under the guise of Stevenson King, who was the minister then and is still the minister now, went ahead and signed a lease with Rubis. Now, why did they sign a lease with Rubis? Let me explain that part. When we looked at the airport redevelopment project, only one supplier of fuel currently exists in for the airport, and that is Sol. Rubis does not have a place to supply fuel. So Rubis's license actually, because remember the fuel license actually gives them the right to operate a fuel farm at the airport as well. Now, what we did was, looking at the space and the amount of land that you have in that area, we said to Rubis, yes, you can operate a fuel farm there. However, because of the space constraint, why don't you work with Sol? Because Sol already has all the amenities, Andre. Sol already has the space, Sol already has storage, Sol already has all the pipes run underneath the runway, etc. to fuel. Why don't you and Sol work together and you just give Sol a user fee? Just like Digicel and Flow. Flow has all the infrastructure, Digicel uses it and they pay each other or something like that. So that was the negotiation. And I have spoken to persons in authority with both of those, and they've confirmed that yes, these negotiations were taking place. So Maaruba Masav, because remember I was in government at the time. So there were negotiations happening between Sol and Rubis to see how is it that Sol can facilitate Rubis, and so there was no need for Rubis to now have a separate space to build and construct, etc.
Namely the Cacabef.
Yes.
There's no need for that.
So, but Andre, are you aware, because I spoke to Alan Chasney, I've spoken to Guy, I've spoken to all members of cabinet, nobody can recall Stevenson King coming to cabinet for approval for SLASPA to sign a lease with Rubis. So Stevenson King has a lot of questions to answer. Why would Stevenson King, who's the minister responsible for this, not tell anybody, Andre? And why do I say he didn't tell anybody? UWP didn't know and Labour Party didn't know. So hold on, all the time we they're negotiating with the guys, trying to bring them to another location. We didn't know there was a lease with SLASPA and Rubis. We were thinking that they were going to be impacted because of the runway where we were going to build the terminal, the car park, etc. That was why we were shifting them. But lo and behold, Kenson Casimir comes out and says that we recently found out, 3.5 years later, Andre, Stevenson King is in your cabinet. Y'all have been talking to the guys. Y'all want to move the guys. And Stevenson King never told y'all that he had SLASPA to sign a lease with Rubis. Y'all never knew that. And guess who their lawyer? I think their lawyer is Peter Foster. So it's a whole cocoa macaquerie going on there, Andre. But I am saying to you, St. Lucia, we're not taking our hands off and say we were not going to move them. We were going to move them. We were going to move them because they would not be able to have access to that Cacabef area if the airport redevelopment project had continued. So that's a fact. However, the surprising thing is that now we're finding out that Stevenson King signed a lease with Rubis and never told anybody, and it's only now Kenson say that he has found out. So you have a question?
Yes, of course. You're saying to us that Stevenson King, who was a member of your
UWP
party, your government, signed a lease agreement with Rubis, unbeknownst to anyone, including the Prime Minister. Nobody knew about
anyone. It never came to cabinet. But let me tell you something, Andre. When we tell you that this gentleman is a snake and this gentleman has been conniving all over the place and doing things and whatever, people don't believe you. But look at what he's done. Aside from the fact that he did it and UWP didn't know, Labour Party didn't know either, you know. He's been sitting in that cabinet for 3 years, and he never told them. Never told them. Because if and I'm saying that against the backdrop that Kenson said, you heard Kenson's interview.
Yes, of course.
He said we only recently found out. So if Kenson is not lying and he is speaking the truth, it means that Stephenson King never told them.
So, Nancy, how could something like that happen in government? I mean, like nobody got in the guard.
I don't know.
Nobody.
I don't know.
That is incredible.
But I am calling on the media. To reach out to Stephenson King and get an explanation from Mr. King. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Because what I sense is happening there, that Kenson was very careful with his words. But a caller to the program from Yadi did not mince any word. Okay? Kenson was very, very careful with his word. All right? So, Stephenson King duped UWP and he's doing the same thing to Labour. He's lying to his colleagues, you know, and I'm sure, I don't know if you heard or saw a video, a lady called Yadi and asked the Prime Minister to open his eyes because she said she suspects Stephenson King is sabotaging the government. None of the roads are being fixed. Everything is in a deplorable condition. You understand? And so...
Nancy, that is incredible.
Yep.
If that is correct, if that is true, that is how could something like that happen?
Because and something so critical for 20 years.
Rubis said nothing to the government. Nobody said anything.
I don't know. I don't know. That's why I'm saying to you, Andre, I don't know who's covering up for who. You understand? But the truth will come out. But I do want to say to St. Lucia, the Cacabef is not sold. I do want to say to St. Lucia that the better thing, which is what we started, and that's the thing, Andre. You know, before we left office, we've shown the pictures, etc., with Alan Chasney and the guys when they went to Dennery. In fact, Kenson did an interview, and Kenson also did a site visit to the plot in Dennery. Do you know that? Kenson Casimir visited the place in Dennery, the new location that we were planning to put the guys. Mm-hmm. He went with them, he visited, and he says to them, okay, well, let's look at other options. Why? Because a friend of mine told me that Kenson say, he's not going to continue anything UWP starts, so he's looking for other options. And it's taken him 3.5 years to look for options. But what he did not know was that there was a list somewhere. And now that the lists have come out, all fall down. Because you understand, Andre? All the time he thinking he have time, but he don't have time because Ruby's now cashing in on their list. So,
just a further clarification on something else. There's a picnic in the rounds with what looks like Guy Joseph. It looks like Guy Joseph to me. And he has a placard saying, I sold the Cacabef. So what?
Of course, that's AI. That's AI. Guy Joseph. But I don't know how Guy Joseph would have been involved in that.
You're saying that is AI?
That's AI. That's fake. That's a fake picture. Guy Joseph would never anyone the Cacabef. And you see again, they're trying to tie everything to Guy Joseph. Guy Joseph is not involved in Slasper. Guy Joseph was not the minister responsible for Slasper. Stephenson King is the one. So y'all should change that picture, Labour Party, and put a picture of Stephenson King that says, I sold the Cacabef, because he's the one. You understand? Stephenson King is the one, and he is the one who has to be asking question. All right? Somebody said that I spoke about Saul and Ruby working together. Yes. And again, caller, that's why I'm saying that because we knew the impact of the airport redevelopment project and what we would have done, that's why we'd spoken to the guys and we were trying to get them to move. It was never about any list with Ruby or Saul or whatever. It was about that particular impact. But when Ruby's indicated that they want to, because Ruby's has a right based on their license, and I want you to understand that there's a difference between a license and a lease. Ruby's has a license to operate in St. Lucia, just like Saul has a license to operate, and the license gives them, where they can operate, and Ruby's license says that they can operate at Hiranora. So SLASPA or the government of St. Lucia has a responsibility to make space for them to operate, essentially. And so when they're saying, listen, we have our license, you have a responsibility to give us space to operate, we say, okay, we don't want you to build a new facility. Why don't you work with Saul, use their facility and pay them and, work together. That's why we were negotiating, not knowing that Snake had already given them a list. But enough of that. Let's move on.
To be sure, you're saying that even now, the Labour Party administration can terminate that lease?
Of course they can. Of course they can. They can terminate the lease, Andre. They can look at the lease. I mean, the same lawyer, I stand corrected, but the same lawyer who's the lawyer for Slasper is the same lawyer who's the lawyer for Rubis. The same lawyer for Slasper is the same lawyer for Rubis. So he can get them to say, listen, okay, we'll work with Saul and we'll use Saul's facility. We don't have to, to build a new facility. But I do want to say that, St. Lucia, even if that happens, even if they cancel the lease, it does not mean that the car racing people can stay on the Cacabef forever. They still have to move, Andre, because the airport redevelopment project will also impact them.
Oh, okay.
Because the new airport, I don't know what this government is doing with the new airport, but the new airport will still impact them because they will not be able to do so close in proximity. Some of the car parks, some of the facilities of the airport will be pushed back closer to the Cacabef, so they still will not be able to use the Cacabef in the long run.
But is the Racing Association aware of what you just said?
They are.
Then?
They're very much aware of that. They are. And that's why the Racing Association have not made too much of an issue about moving. I haven't heard them make an issue about moving. I think the issue is that they have been preparing for races in December. Remember, in December 13th, there's always car racing. February, there's car racing. They have been preparing, putting everything in motion, and now they saw a sign. Everybody woke up in the morning to see a sign, no crossing or whatever, and stuff like that, and part of the Cacabef was blocked. No notice to anybody, no discussion with them. I think that is the issue, Andre.
Okay.
You understand? But they have never indicated they had an issue to move. That's why they facilitated, they've gone, they've looked for alternative site because they understand that they have to go to a new location. But all I think that's the problem is they woke up one morning preparing for a thing in December and they see a sign that says the place is closed, they can't have access. And that's the problem. And that's a government that tell you they believe in consultation. That's a government that tell you they believe in talking to people. Why didn't you all call the fellas and say, hey, since Kenson knew that they had a lease and they had taken it to AG recently, when did you call the fellas, Kenson, to ask them, to say to them, hey, I'm now finding we have a lease, we have to go back to the drawing board, let's talk. Why you never informed them that there was a lease? You see, they're so political, Andre. They found a list, so they think they're going to pin it on UWP. Oh, UWP sold the Cacabef, so they have it in secret, hiding, instead of coming out and calling the fellas and say, you all are planning a race for December. I think there's an issue. Let's sit down at the table with Rubis and you guys and ours and see how we can come to something, because you all have to race and stuff like that. You knew that all along. But the disrespect and the disregard, Andre, that's what continues. So the place is closed, the fellas come and all of a sudden they see a sign and they don't know what to do. That's the problem. That's the problem.
I have a final question on this issue.
Yes.
Let's just assume that the arrangement with the Cacabef continues. You have Rubis leasing and so on, so on, so on. What does the government gain from that?
From what?
From Rubis. Is there anything from like leasing the land? Is the government gaining?
The leases, I look at it, I think it's about $91,000, I think, per year.
Okay.
Something like that. But government gains, remember, it's fuel as well. The more fuel they bring in, taxes on the fuel, etc. So if Sol is bringing, let's say, 10 gallons of fuel, now now that Rubis is added, Rubis will bring another 10. So that's more taxes, because when fuel comes in, it's taxing, is all these kind of things.
Okay.
So government do have benefit in it.
Okay,
they
good.
do.
All right.
For sure. They lots of money. I think jet fuel is more expensive than regular fuel, so they must be making a good bit of money. So they have benefit. But I gave you a tape, Andre. I wanted you to play that tape so St. Lucian can hear the cover by Kenson Casimir. Let's play it very quickly.
Which one?
The first one.
That's with the RD?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It's just
December 13th, and of course, Independence Day in February. But that's the private owner indicated that there were some things that were in train for a number of months now that really does not allow them to allow us to have that sort of activity. We will still have activities in a truncated format. We're still exploring other venues for February 22nd. And I guess, as I said, in the coming weeks, you'll hear a lot more from us on that.
Mr. Minister, why it took us so long to know about this, though? St. Lucia didn't even know about this. And I'm not blaming you guys for that, but there are some things we have to bring to the fore.
Yeah, well, you see, at the end of the day, again, you see, we're not a government that is irresponsible, and sometimes people find that we are too cautious. A lot of the times,
I think so myself.
Caution to the wind, but that is what we had in the previous administration that allowed St. Lucia to dissipate into being one of the worst-run economies in the region and in the world. And so with us as a government, we always sit at the table, we always have discussions, we always strategize, and we always try our best to govern. It is not about politics, especially when it comes to sports and you're dealing with young people. I'm not the one to run out and be overly political, but I want to find solutions. It's about solutions, it's about execution. That is what we've done as a government. And this is another instance when we've established this racetrack, where we can clearly show as a government that we sat down, we identified the problems created by the previous administration, and most importantly, we found solutions that does not affect the taxpayers of this land. That is what we are doing.
Mr. Minister, it's good politicking, it's good politics, but I believe sometimes...
So, this is the sports minister?
Yes. Did he answer the question?
Well, even more so, he said about problems created by the last administration.
I don't know. Exactly. You know, so let me tell you something, St. Lucia. That's the type of cover-up you get. Mr. Minister, why did it take so long for the people or for the nation to find out about this? Why did it take so long? What was his answer? Do you know why it took so long? Andre, what did he say? Did he answer the question? He went all over the place into the politics and the young people and problems and this, that, and the other. Why did it take so long for Stevenson King to tell y'all that there is a lease signed between Rubis and Slasper? And he was the minister at the time, and he was the one who... Why did it take so long? And Stevenson King is your cabinet every day. Let me tell you all something. Once a snake, always a snake, you know. You'll just start finding out who really that man Stevenson King is. Zote kwa ise tamba ikite bon zo point. Nou la je i parti. Nou kite nou ba vle yon kon. Zo sa point. Zo sa point tout bay. Take him. Ni Li ni Richard nou ba vle yon kon. Okay? Point yo. But you all will find out. And let me tell you something, Kenson. I am very, very surprised. And I am I'm becoming fast disappointed in you, my brother. Very fast disappointed in you, because I know you very well. You and I work together on projects, etc., with youth and sports. And I am saying to you, Kenson, you came into this thing as a young man. You came into this thing clean, but you're not living clean. You're not living clean. Angela, let me tell you something. You see that corruption thing we're talking about? This thing is bigger and it is too prevalent. Not only in this country, in the region. I'm sure, Andre, before we started, we spoke about what was happening in the Bahamas and this issue of corruption and politicians and police and everybody involved. And that politician was so angry, he took out the missile. That's frustration for you. That is the level of frustration that is being created. And St. Lucia, don't be surprised, because people are frustrated in this country, Andre. People are frustrated because we see that we are working so hard. Some people are working so hard. And politicians just coming in, Andre. And let me tell you something. The things that they are now acquiring. It is not a joke, you know. It is not a joke. People who were just young staff at government agencies, grade 12, grade 13, I mean basic salary between $3,000 and $5,000 per month, and all of a sudden you see the kind of wealth. 3 years in office, you know. 3 years in office, you see the kind of wealth some of these people are acquiring. I mean, one of them has built 3 villas. Himself, you so. That's it. 3 villas. You know, like apartment villas and whatever. Brand new vehicle. And then I am told, and Andre, I'm telling you, I get the calls, St. Lucia. Okay? And that's why most of the time when I have the documents, I send them. Did I send you those documents, Andre, that you can see? Mm-hmm. You saw the deed of sale? I sent it to Andre because he said we can't show it on the screen. But I sent it to Andre. There's a deed of sale. Okay? In the name of that particular minister. A deed of sale that he went and buy the land. And the deed of sale says that he paid $277,000 for the land. Now get me straight. Andre saw it. However, on the land register, which is the map sheet and the land register for the land, you see that this particular individual took a loan. You saw it, Andre? He took a loan for $173,000 at a particular credit union to buy the land. So the land he paid $277. He took a loan for $173. Ika much $100,000, Kuma. Ipa much $100,000. Ika much $100,000. So koi point $100,000 eki pay in cash la. Ese in cash he pay.
Maybe savings.
Savings, I agree. Savings that he would have saved over the years $100,000. I don't know. I give that. But I got another call. And somebody told me this same particular minister. All right. And I want you to see the pattern, St. Lucia. The pattern of the corruption that is evolving in this government. This same particular minister, somebody, a friend of a friend, had some house and land selling in Boseju. It was going for $32 a square feet. It's very expensive up there, Andre. You would know that. You know what the man say? I'll pay cash for it and I'll pay you $43 a square foot. He's paying extra, but he's paying it in cash. Cash. And so I want to understand how in 3 years, you remember Gail Rigobert? You remember the story of Gail Rigobert had been a lecturer all her life with a PhD, etc. So she was working for big money, St. Lucia. That I can tell you. All right? She came to St. Lucia from her lecturer's job, and she came and she ran and she was a parliamentarian for 5 years. Gail Panish, now these are Gail. Gail Panish, Gail Pani Maui, Gail Pani Ukopon Gail Pate Komo Kini Katma Mai no need to responsibility. She had nothing on her account. So I can assume that from her UE days and her lecturer days and from her 5 years in government in opposition she would have saved a little money. And then she became a government minister, and almost 4 years a government minister. So that's about 9 years, Andre, being in government, earning a salary, etc. She bought 2 little villas that were unfinished, 2 unfinished place. It was on sale, auction. She went through the process. Yolam, based at the same Richard Frederick, had the girl picture of her house, documents, all kind of things saying where Gail get money to buy villa and whatever. Gail had to come out and show the documents from the credit union. You remember that? Where she took her loan to go and purchase the facility. Show your documents. Show your document where you getting all that cash. You understand? You buying land for cash. And let me tell you something, Andre. I mean, what happened to the Integrity Commission? What happened to the banking process that people like us are PEP. I am a PEP. I have to fill out a form every year, Andrew.
What you say?
A PEP. It's a politically exposed person. If you are in politics, that is what the bank calls us. We call it PEP. There's certain things that are different for us than for you. We have to account for every money that we put into the bank above a certain limit, etc., etc., etc. All right? The bank is putting us through. Is it that the banks are not putting certain people through those processes? Because how do they process so much cash and able to have do they have the cash in the bank? Do they have the cash sitting at home? How do you buy land, Andre, and the bank does not do any background check in terms of source of funding, where you get the money from, etc., etc.? You understand? And that it's very concerning, because when you have a minister who have 32 plots of land, Andre, and none of them he didn't take a loan. When you look at it, he didn't take loan for them. He must have purchased them cash. Isn't that what, when you look at stories of persons involved in illicit activities, that's not how they wash their money? They buy land, they buy jewelry, they buy a house, they buy things. So they buy things to process the money, so they acquire wealth and stuff like that. Is that what's happening in this country, Andre? How is it a government minister is able to do all that? You understand? All that. And Andre, I sent you a picture of a building as well. So that same land for the $277,000 that this particular minister, maybe he paid 100 cash, which is the difference. So he had 100,000 cash, and you say, Andre, he paid cash. All right, fine. He had savings, he paid cash. But this same minister have now started what we call some Chinese prefab housing to do Airbnb on the lot. And that's the picture that I sent you. You can see 5 little houses. Everybody who going up cap knows that. Everybody says it. It's not hidden. They see it. Okay? Government minister who now has a lot and he's doing Chinese prefab houses. But guess who's the contractor, Andre? And you see how this thing... and listen, let me tell you, that's a Mexico show, you know. That's disgusting. Disgusting. Y'all remember an interview where when we spoke about the national lottery loan and the $80 million and questions were being asked, who is the main contractor? You remember that, Andre? The minister could not say, he said that he can't remember the name of the person, but he knows the company and he'll not say. But he can't remember who the owner of the company is, but he knows the name of the company. BS, Andre. BS. You understand? And so now we are finding out, is that same contractor, you know? The same contractor is the one building the prefab houses. Is the same contractor who's now building roads in Grosley. Is the same contractor who built a big retaining wall. Let me tell you, everything is just, there's one preferred contractor in that constituency. One preferred contractor. And everything is being done. So you see how St. Lucia, they are raiding the treasury at your expense. That's how they are raiding the treasury at your expense. And so when I speak about the issue with the cemetery, Mr. Minister, I ain't finished with that yet, you know, Andre. Because, Andre, remember I told you last week, there are 6 contracts. 6 contracts. And now we are finding out at least 2 of those persons have already been paid for no works done, Andre. No works done. St. Lucia, I told y'all, and I didn't give you the names. It's all over social media. Tout contract la tout partout on les social media. And that is why I said to you, Andre, now I am getting, because people are vexed. People are vexed with me because some people say, I'm messing up the thing. I preventing them from making a little money. I bringing out these things. You understand? So, let me tell you all something. I am not the one who's messing up anything for you. If you are going to allow yourself to be pulled into a scam where you are going to try to cheat the St. Lucian people by getting a contract, signing a contract for works to be done, never do the work, and then you get paid, let me tell you something, I can't take that. Because that's money that could go into OKEU, Andre, to buy ibuprofen and Panadol. That's money that could go into OKEU to ensure that doctors, nurses are being paid properly, that we can have an EKG machine, Andre. These are monies that can go into the health centers. The elderly folks, when y'all tell them you'll have an 80+ program, which is a scam, and you don't have any medication in those pharmacies, that's where these monies could go, not into the pockets of criminals, Andre. You understand? That's a crime. That's a crime. Alright? So you have people who are fishermen getting contracts for $70,000 to oversee works, to do supervision of works, Andre. You understand? So there are genuine people working in the cemeteries. Don't get me wrong. There are genuine people with contracts who are physically there. I've sent people to see, they are physically there, they are working. But in between, Andre, so if there are 2 people there that are working for that particular cemetery, 5 contracts have been issued. 2 people are working and 3 people didn't do a day's work and they're collecting a check. Mr. Prime Minister, look into that. That's robbery. And that is happening both in Deriso, 3 places now. Deriso is in it now, Monripo is in it, and the Latuni Cemetery is in it. You think we can sit back, Andre, and allow that $90,000, $98,000, $99,000 contracts? When you multiply that by 4, 5, and 6, that's close to $1 million, Andre. So somebody is going to collect a check, cash it, and bring it where? Bring it for whom? And y'all want me to keep silent? I can't keep silent on that. But let me tell you something. We have no Panadols in our hospital. We have no ibuprofen. People are dying in wheelchair. There's no beds on the wards, etc. I mean, and people are building mansions and they are drawing paychecks at your expense. At your expense, St. Lucia. So when will you stand up? I want you to understand, St. Lucia, that most of these monies that are being used, these are loans, you know, Andre. You remember that? The $80 million from National Lottery, that's a loan that was taken, for 15 years. The young men and women, the sportsmen of St. Lucia and the sportswomen. I mean, look, I got a note that next year they're not going to be able to give medals. We were not able to have sporting activities in this term. All kind of things impacting the young people, and we took a loan for $80 million for 15 years. That loan has to be paid back, and you telling me that people are using these monies to give to contractors, so contractors can now be the preferred contractors to give kickbacks under the chairs, to do all under the table, to do all kind of things, so people can build mansions, build villas, build prefab housing, do all kinds of things, Andre? And we sit there, St. Lucia, and we take that. So they gave you a little kakana. They'll step. Christmas is coming. They'll give you 1 week's worth of step. $350. E kou kay pwen sa ou kay di merci yo kay ede mwen, gouvernement ka fe un bon bay, e yo ka vole denye l'argent le tête ou. Ichou ka mo, ma oui ou ka mo, ou pa ni komisyon kayo, ou pa sa gen manger, mais merci because yo ba mwen ti jou step, mwen te ou kontan sa ou ka defend yo, e yo la ka vole tout l'argent pays ya, pou yo fe kay, pou yo fe bay. St. Lucians, open your eyes. When a minister can come and say, while they're talking, we busy building tombs so we can bury them, those who will die of a heart attack at the next election. You're going to sit there and tolerate that? You saw that, Andre?
No.
How can Richard Frederick posted on his Facebook page, can I help you? He put a picture of the tombs that are being built in Latuni. Richard Frederick. And he say, let them talk. While they are talking, we are working. We are building tombs to bury them when they die of a heart attack at the next election.
Referring to your party?
Yeah, I don't know who you're referring to, but he said those that will die of heart attack, that's the tombs he building for them. That's what we deserve. We don't deserve Panadol. We don't deserve toilet paper and water. We don't deserve access to health care. We don't deserve proper facilities, Andre. You know what we deserve? We deserve tombs so that we can be buried, because that's where the siphoning can happen. All of a sudden in St. Lucia, after how many years, jamais quitté cette liste autant gouvernement a fait tout mon cimetière. Has that ever been, Andre? Has it ever been the government building tombs in cemetery? Hasn't that been private people building tombs, etc.? Why all of a sudden, you all have to ask yourself that question, why all of a sudden is the government giving contracts to people to go and build tombs? Andre, la munte mo. Akouvla tomb. Lazarus has a private cemetery. So if you want a pre-made tomb, you go there, etc. But in the public cemetery, Andre, when somebody die, Saukafe, Zokakuye, and in most communities, that's what happened. A lot of times, some family member is already a mason, a carpenter, or whatever. So what you do, you buy the lot, sometimes $300, and you'll buy the blocks and the cement, and they build the tomb. You understand? Because it saves you money. The labor is free. People in the community come. Sometimes family members come and they build a tomb. Hopa ini sa encore. Richard Frederick ha build tomb mon repos. Il dit qu'a fait tomb mon repos. Il a fait tomb la tourni. So zopa ka ini pour build tomb encore. So apo pan la ha pour manger. Ou pan la ha pour aller docteur. Ou pan la ha pour boire. Mais là ou mort. Ou ka ini pour acheter la ha pour gagner tomb. Because tomb la ha fait bao. That's what we deserve. That's the vision of this government, you know. Never looking at a way to ease the squeeze, Andre. So you can't build your own little tomb now. You can't save a little money and call, free people and build a tomb. No, you have to go and buy one now. That's the vision. That's the vision. All right? Andre, sometimes when you're in a bad relationship, people tell you need to look for the red flags. Right? There's so many signs, so many red flags that are popping up. St. Lucia, we are in a bad relationship with the Labour Party, and there are so many red flags, and it's ironic that Labour Party is red, and red flags I'm not saying, but it's ironic, but there are so many red flags. When will you stand up? When will you rise up? Why are you continuing to allow the Labour Party to abuse us so? But I'll tell you one thing, there's hope. There's hope. There's a special prosecutor that has been appointed. It's been a year. I think October would have been a year that he's been appointed, been paid a salary, a year. Absolutely nothing. Peter Chico wrote about the matter, the customs matter. In summary, the gentleman said, everything that you've spoken about happened before my time, before I became special prosecutor, so I can't help you there. Okay, that's fine. That's fine, Mr. Prosecutor, if that's what your letter means. But let me tell you something. Everything that is happening now is happening during your time. Now, may I notice. And I've already said that. Le nou an tou an gouvernement nou pa a faya ou. Ek même sou resign nou pa ka accept resignation nou. Ou ni pou weste la. Because tout se bay la ki ka fet an peyi a brezan. Tout se vol la se bon la ki ka fet la. Ou ki ka ni pou investigate li, ou ki ka ni pou prosecute li, Mr. Special Prosecutor. You will have to do that. And I want to say to you as well, the United Workers' Party, when we were in office, we passed what we call let me see the terminology, the Integrity in Public Life Act. You know what that means? It means that if you would have done something during your tenure as a government minister or as a public servant, that's for y'all as well. If you would have done something untowards, Andre, there is no term limit as to how long we can go after you. All right? There is no term limit. So that act is there, and I can guarantee you, Zodi two bagay about Flambeau. Y'all accuse us of too many things that were not true. Y'all call Guy Joseph, Alan Chasney, Nancy Chas, everybody y'all could think of, y'all call us corrupt. Made allegations, y'all didn't have one document. Y'all have a special prosecutor today who can come out with one document. But every week we continue to show papers and documents of what y'all are doing. I can tell you, y'all will not get off scot-free. The United Workers' Party will use the special prosecutor and its office to ensure that you guys are held accountable. You cannot call people thief, call people corrupt, and you come into government and you're doing 10 times worse than what you accuse them of. You can't do that, Andre. You can't do that. All right? And that takes me back to Ernest Hilaire and last week what I showed you, St. Lucia. I showed you that this man has had questions asked about him from the days of West Indies cricket. Now, I sent you a video, I think, is it of Michael Holden? Mm-hmm. Play that video because I just want St. Lucia to hear. It's not me that accused the man of thing, you know. Listen to what Michael Holden, the great cricketer, had to say about what was happening with West Indies Cricket Board. Just give us a minute.
So a private loan that was given to a St. Lucian IBC. IBC is the international business companies that are formed in St. Lucia. This was a loan of $125,000 made by a Cricket West Indies sponsor again to a company named Resilier Incorporated. This loan was made in December 2013. So are my questions. Why would Cricket West Indies auditors become aware of a loan by a sponsor to a St. Lucian corporation? Why would the auditors consider it a conflict of interest when it should not have appeared on Cricket West Indies' book? I know that shareholders of St. Lucian offshore companies are often secret, but the fact that the auditors' concerns about this loan appears in a Cricket West Indies audit should make every West Indian insist that the shareholders of Resilier Incorporated be exposed to the public now. In particular, it should be revealed if a member or former member of the Cricket West Indies board is a shareholder of Resilier Incorporated.
Okay, thank you very much. Y'all remember that story, St. Lucia? Y'all remember when that story about Resilier came out on who the shareholders were? I'll not tell you. I'll go and do your research. Go and do your research. But even back then, Andre, there were questions about this. And I reminded you last week, you understand? I reminded you last week of the pattern and what happened and how Ernest Hilaire became our High Commissioner in the UK. I spoke to you about Jufali, how all of a sudden Jufali came on the scene. Jufali now became our ambassador. I spoke to you and I reminded you about the passport issue. I mean, something as simple as a passport. You are the High Commissioner. You are the one who sent the letter to make the recommendation for Jufali to become the ambassador. You are the one who wrote to the Ministry of External Affairs and sent the documents to process his diplomatic passport. And Timothy Peleo played the tape over and over asking you, does Mr. Jufali has a passport? That's not for me to say, I don't know, I can't recall. All kind of story. Just for you not to say, yes, the man has diplomatic passport. His daughter has diplomatic passport. His chauffeur, he's made everybody. Just for you not to say that. You understand? So even back then, these people have been lying and scheming and trying to pull the wool over our eyes. And then we spoke to you about the so-called quote-unquote joint account that was never a joint account. And I explained to you, I showed you the letter, who sent the letter, who signed the letter, and who the signatories to the accounts are. All right? 2 people can sign on the account. If it is not a joint account, I stand corrected. But that's my definition of what a joint account is. 2 people signing on the account, we have it joined together. But anyway, the man stood in parliament and said, I've never had a joint account with nobody, not my wife, not my children, nobody in my entire life. And the document is showing that you and Mr. Jufali are 2 signatories to an account. So Sasai, what does that mean? You understand? And then Jufali gave you over $258,000. You open an account, you didn't get Auditor General audited it. Not me that said St. Lucia, I showed it to you last week. They were audited and all kinds of things came out. And that is why I said all kinds of things in Andre came out. Monies for tourist board rental, unauthorized, unaccounted for. Passport monies, unaccounted for. All kinds of things happened under the leadership of Ernest Hilaire at that High Commission. The Auditor General was very clear, and we still St. Lucia nous pas ni sentiment. Tu vois d'où ça? Là où un chien habite ou maheze, t'as pas ni yon ça fait pour double chien ça from maheze. Tuer tout ça l'on pour tuer chien ça. Because he habite ou maheze, so n'importe quand on mette il kay garder cause aye pour ça maheze. And the pattern has been very clear. The pattern has been very clear, and we take this gentleman, we bring him down so he can run, and now he's in government, Andre. And so we have the issue of the Range Rover that I explained to you last week as well. How is it possible that in April of 2015 you purchased a Range Rover? And that one, Andre, let me tell you, somebody reminded me over the weekend. I had an FAR vehicle. So that's a duty-free concession. All right? Our first vehicle was an FAR. When you get the concession, there are terms and conditions applied to it, Andre. And one of the terms and conditions is that you cannot transfer ownership of that vehicle because it's a duty-free concession vehicle. You cannot transfer ownership of that vehicle to another person. If you do, that person now have to pay back the concession. Is that understood? Mm-hmm. Clear. It is the same thing with the duty-free, you know. When Ernest purchased that first vehicle in 2015, the first Range Rover, and I don't know what is the obsession of the Hilaire brothers with Range Rovers. When he purchased that first vehicle and he said, yes, I am using my concession to purchase that vehicle, it's my vehicle. Are you aware that when he shipped it down to St. Lucia to his brother Paul, when he sent it down to him, that he could not legally transfer the vehicle to the brother? Because the concession is in your name and you can't transfer your concession to somebody else. So there already, you understand you are doing something wrong. So the old people tell you, Sipan Sutue Spanivole. Somebody Sutue him. How did that vehicle get transferred? How did the title of the vehicle, which was in your name when you purchased it, your concession, how did it get transferred to your brother? You understand? So Jimmy flicks all along. And so in April, he bought that vehicle. Then May, June, 2 months later, partner tried to buy another Range Rover. All right?
But sorry. Isn't it possible the brother could have paid the duties?
But he's in the UK, you have to pay it, not here.
Oh, okay.
He's in the UK, he bought it. And he's in the UK, he get the tax exempt, not here. So he go to the UK and say, I'm sorry, my brother bought a vehicle under his name, but really it's my vehicle, so I'd like to pay you back the duties. Did he?
So these rules and regulations you spoke about, that doesn't pertain to St. Lucia?
Well, if you buy a duty-free concession vehicle in St. Lucia, it pertains to St. Lucia.
Right.
But wherever you buy it, it pertains to that land.
Okay.
You understand? But if you buy a duty-free vehicle in the UK and under your name, the title of the vehicle is yours, the terms and conditions are you can't transfer the title because it's a duty-free concession. So how did you transfer it and send it down to your brother?
But you say once you do, that means you have to pay the duty.
You should. You should.
So was
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know, Andre. I don't know. He'll have to answer those questions. You understand? But these are the things, you know. And let me tell you something, St. Lucia. Also, vle nou men anti barrel. Nou ka men anti phone a bottom barrel la. Nou ka men anti kettle, anti stove, anti microwave a bay. Customs ka fouye tout an di dayan bay pour make sure ou pay duty ou sav. Ek tout se go moun sa ka get away scot free. You understand? That's the double standard in this country, Andre. The little Malaways, their family sending a little box down for them, a little barrel down for them. They have to pay so much duty at the port. Even during the concession free period, you don't pay VAT on it and stuff like that. But you still have to pay a fee, you know, Andre. You still have to pay. But these people, big people, high society, they're getting away scot-free from not paying VAT and taxes, etc. You understand? And I don't. Anyway. But let me tell you something. This vehicle thing, I want to say to St. Lucia, when Ernest Hilaire says to you that he was vindicated, I want to make it very clear. Ernest Hilaire has not been vindicated. Read the issues of the purchase and the shipment of this particular vehicle. All right? He has not been vindicated.
Why are you saying he hasn't been vindicated?
He hasn't been vindicated because what has happened... No, let me explain to you what has happened. When the controller of customs at the time, who was Mr. Peter Chico, took the matter to court, the matter has been going back and forth to court. When Labour Party won the election, you have T.A. Chico, I'm controller of customs. You mete Sherman Emmanuel, controller of customs. Sherman Emmanuel, who's the new controller of customs, put in there by the Labour Party, went to the court and said to the court, I do not wish to pursue this matter anymore. I wish to withdraw the matter. So how have you been vindicated? The court didn't vindicate you. You put your people in there to come and say that they don't want to pursue the matter anymore. Let me tell you something, Andrew. Let me ask you something. If you've been accused of a particular crime, let's say I accuse you of punching me in the face. I took the matter to court, etc., and it's going to court. If 2 weeks later you do a little washman say, Nancy, I'm sorry, and this, that, and the other, and you give me a little something under the table, and I go to the court and I say to the court, I don't wish to pursue the matter with Andre anymore. Did you not punch me in the face? Did you not do the crime? The fact that I have withdrawn the matter does not say that you are vindicated. It does not say you didn't do the crime. It just says something happened somewhere along the line and I changed my mind. But you were not vindicated. And it's the same thing with this matter. But the new controller withdrew the case. They never said he's not guilty. They never said he's guilty. They withdrew the case, right. And that is it.
But the court ruled that the controller does have that power.
Yes, it's not about that. I mean, I have the power to withdraw the case if you punch me in the face. That's my prerogative. I have that power. I have that power to say, yes, I will continue or not, don't I? So it's the same thing with the controller. The controller may have the power or not the power. I don't know. The court say he has the power. That matter is going back and forth now. I think there's been a new thing from the CCJ or one of them that says they want to review it because they don't think the controller has the power. So that matter is still ongoing.
Well, yes, I think
it's not there.
I think the opposition leader is going to appeal.
That's right.
Right.
But the fact that the controller of customs has the power does not mean that Ernest has been vindicated. The fact that he has the power to withdraw the case doesn't say Ernest is guilty or not guilty. It just says that he says he's not going to pursue it anymore. And that's the difference, Andre. That's the difference. The difference is that they put a new controller who says, I don't want to pursue this matter anymore. You think that's right, St. Lucia? You all think that's right? Don't you think that the court should hear whether Mr. Hilaire did right or wrong by getting a vehicle duty-free in the name of the High Commission, bringing it here and registering it in his name? How can that be right? All right? We need to hear. The court should have heard So when you have all of that happening, Andre, and we came and we told you about CIP, I want you to understand that. Look at the pattern. All right? West Indies Cricket Board, Jufali, bank account, Auditor General, car, vroom vroom. And today is a bigger scandal. It's a CIP scandal.
So let's just try to clear the air.
Yes.
You're saying that even though the court ruled that the Controller of Customs has the power, the authority to withdraw the matter, the court ruled on his authority, not necessarily
the case.
The case
has not been heard.
Okay.
The case has never been heard. The court has ruled on the authority of the Controller of Customs to withdraw the case or not to withdraw the case. But the court has not heard the substance of the matter, which is the issue at hand of Ernest Hilaire providing an invoice to show that the car belongs to him. They have not heard that at all. At all. Eknaduma ba isetlisi. Pukisa. Ati $20,000, $30,000. Tout sa nom la ka fe la pou sa. Upan sa? Upan na sa? Upan sa? Upate ni sa? Ute vle Range Rover me upan na ha pou pay Range Rover? Supan na pou pay Range Rover pa gen Range Rover boy? But they want to come back looking mapipi and mapopo, you understand, driving big around, etc. And all the time, okay? All the time, doing what? Scamming, cheating the system, lying, and getting people to lie for you. And you want to come and make it look like you're saintly and holy and righteous. Mate. Mate. That's what you are. St. Lucia will open the lines at 10:30. But I want to ask you a question.
So sorry. So even the matter of the court ruling is on the controller's power to withdraw the matter is still up for debate. Yes?
That's still up for debate because, like I said, the leader of the opposition has now gotten a ruling. And that the court has granted him leave that he can proceed to appeal the matter to the CCJ. So let's see what the CCJ says. And the court would not have granted him leave to go to the CCJ if they did not think that he had a chance and maybe what he is saying is true. Maybe the controller does not have the authority. Who knows? But that's what the court is for. That's what the court is for. And for me, if Mr. Hilaire did not think that he did anything wrong, he should never have allowed for the controller to withdraw the case. He should have said, let's go to court. I did nothing wrong. You know, like some people say, listen, I'm not afraid. Take me to court, I'm not afraid because I know I have done nothing wrong. Why couldn't he say that? Why couldn't he say, no, Shaman, don't worry about that. Let the matter go to court. I'm not afraid, I have done nothing wrong. You hiding behind the Controller of Customs. You hiding. If you have done nothing wrong, allow the matter to proceed now. Allow the matter to go to the courts. Allow the courts to hear the substance of the case to determine whether you were right in registering the vehicle on the name of the High Commission to get a tax exempt or whether you were wrong. That's all. That's all. Let the matter go. Let the court hear the case. Puchi saupea. Ki saupea. Ki saupea.
You know some people feel that this matter is a trivial matter. Why is the opposition treating that with such seriousness?
It's the principle, Andre. And you know why we're treating it with such seriousness? Because I've showed you the pattern. You know we didn't treat with any seriousness when the allegations were made with reference to West Indies Cricket Board and who the incorporators were and why a contract was issued to a former... You know, the conflict of interest? That. Let me tell you something, St. Lucia. They tell you it's the little foxes that spoil the vine. Nobody took it on. Oh, it's just West Indies Cricket Board again. We brought him up there, Kuma. When we brought him up there, look at what the audit says. All these irregularities, nobody took it seriously. Oh, it's just an audit. money is unaccounted for. But if you don't have proper principles and standard, Andre, it will translate into bigger things, So that's why we're getting into the bigger things. So it's a simple little thing, or just inappropriation. You didn't have permission to rent to the tourist board. Why you rent to them, and where the money? What you do with the money? Why is it that the passport money is supposed to go in the consolidated funds? When it comes to the commission, it never went in. You all use it for whatever else, etc. Why is it that Jufali gave you money to open an account? You all open an account where both you and Jufali sign. And why is it there was no proper accounts held for that account? Why is it that Auditor General never knew about that account? Simple things. Oh, let that pass. You understand? Why is it when Auditor General come and audit the books, Andre, they find a check stub? No, nothing. Check stub, a check written to John James for £2,000. What for? We don't know. Just name.
So you're saying there's no paper trail as far as that account?
That's what the auditor said.
That joint account is concerned?
That's what the auditor said.
Nobody knows
what they found. What they found, they gave an audit of what they found. There were some checks that were written to certain people. It says John James, $1,000 for catering. Fine. But there were over 33 checks, Andre, that were written to different individuals with nothing. Just a name and an amount. Nobody knows what type of service these people provided. And out of that, I think about $9 or how many $1,000 was written to Ernest Hilaire himself. Ernest Hilaire himself. There were checks written to him with nothing saying what the payments were. And then there was an amount of almost $90,000 transferred from the account to another new account that nobody knows about that new account, what it's for, who has access to it, nothing. So it's the little foxes. That's little to you, Andre? If Jufali gave money for an account that was open, that is St. Lucia's money, not your money, pal. The money belongs to the citizens of St. Lucia, and it has to be accounted for in the same way that citizens and accountant general must account for.
Nancy, you know how that sounds, right? This issue of things like, for example, we spoke earlier about the Rubis situation,
yes,
where these a lease agreement has already been established, and there's nobody else knows about it. I mean, as a serious opposition, even when you do get into government, because here you're giving another example again where things are being done and there's no paper trail, nobody knows what's happening,
and we just lie.
What do you as a serious opposition? The
legislation is there, and I think, Andre, I'll tell you one thing. That's my personal opinion. I think a serious example needs to be made of one or two politicians so that the others can learn. Until you do that, until you hold one or two of them accountable, take them before the courts, hold them before the courts, and ensure that they are held accountable, none of them will learn.
Yeah, but if the system is flawed,
but you have to fix it.
Right, that's what I'm asking.
Fix it, Andre, because the laws are there, the regulations are there. It's the enforcement, and that's why I asked the question: where is the Integrity Commission? What is the role of the Integrity Commission? How are these people able to accumulate so much wealth and money and things all over the place and no accountability? The Integrity Commission just published a list. These people didn't file, and that's it. Does the Integrity Commission, and Philip Jepier said that, by the way, St. Lucia. Philip Jepier, when he was in opposition talking about corruption, he said, I will strengthen the Integrity Commission and give them teeth and give them the necessary tools to investigate acts of corruption in this country. What have you done or given to the Integrity Commission to ensure that they can hold you accountable? What have you done? Nothing, Andre. Talk. Blah, 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 blah. Talk. So we must do. Listen, we must hold, and that goes for Labour and Flambeau, we must hold our governments and our public servants accountable to us. It's our money. How can an $80 million loan be taken that government has guaranteed, Andre? We didn't take the loan. Lottery took the loan, but we guaranteed. It means if they can't pay back the loan, the government has to pay back that money. But we don't know who the contractors are. We don't know how much the contractors were given. We don't know what projects they're working on, which fields they're working on. Y'all remember when they spoke about Lockerbie? We gave Lockerbie a $42 million contract to do sports facilities. You can see everything Lockerbie did with the $40 million. You have the Sufra Mini Stadium. You have the turf that is only the artificial turf that they said was giving cancer. You remember that? Il pas by cancer encore, cette lycée. Piège de cette lycée par un cancer. You want to feel Sufra, ça? Every government activity is in Sufra. They're not getting cancer again. They're not afraid of cancer anymore. You can see that's what Lockerbie built. The field in Mikud, you passing by every day, it have lights and things. That's what Lockerbie built. The one in Dennery, that the playing field, the football and the cricket ground in Dennery with lights and everything, Lockerbie built that, you can see it. The one in Deriso with the field and the turf and the lights, you can see it. Lockerbie built it. What have we seen for the $80 million that the government has spent, has taken a loan, they have guaranteed as a loan for national lotteries? Kisa yo fek $80 million last eklisi. Mouche mwen. My good friend Yadi, you always messaging me, show me pictures of what the $80 million loan has done. That is where we talk about accountability, Andre. Okay? That's where we talk about accountability. And these are the things that must change in this country. So when Ernest Hilaire signs a contract with Galaxy on page 5 of the contract, that he signs a contract with Galaxy for 200 to 300 million US dollars. What's going on? All right. In December of 2022, this is what he signed. He gave them, we gave them 700 passports. All right. Section 3.1, page 6. You know what he gave them, Andre? He signed a contract with Galaxy that says that Galaxy is given a minimum, all right, of 200 passports per month by 24 months, but not to exceed 5,000. That's what the contract says. Section 3.1, page 6 of the contract. So let's say they say you cannot exceed 5,000. So let's say 5,000 is the threshold. Is that okay? You can't exceed 5. So the minimum is 2,000 per month by 24 months. All right, we'll open the lines in a while. All right. So 5,000 by 2,000 US dollars. So 5,000 passports times 200,000 US dollars. That's it. That's the cost if they sell it at the right price. You know how much money that is, Andre? 2.7 billion EC dollars. It's about a 1 point something billion US dollars. When you translate it to EC, it's 2.7 billion dollars. That is the amount. And I have to remind you, St. Lucia, Ernest Hilaire himself said that the project has been sold out. It's completely sold out. So it means that Galaxy has already sold the full 5,000 passports. So it means that they have collected the full amount of $2.7 billion. Where is that money?
In terms of the investment you're talking about?
The investment.
In other words, you say we haven't seen anything.
We haven't, but we just saw some pictures circulating on social media over the weekend again of what is there. The amount of money Galaxy has collected, Andre, that projects are they have in Bahodi. Aye, pas fait là, toi ti Chinese qui là. Aye, pas fait là cette ici. Toi ti Chinese qui là. Et Galaxy ha collect $2.7 billion. Mais now do yon bay, yo pese we la han 2 my go nou ka jweni. Because that money belongs to the people of St. Lucia. The project's supposed to be executed. So y'all can run, y'all can hide, y'all can go wherever y'all go, Galaxy. But we will get our money. Because Ernest Hilaire cannot sign an agreement that allows for y'all to collect $2.7 billion. And there's no accountability, Andre? None. So when I tell you, you think it's a little thing for him to get away with the tax exempt on a vehicle he was not entitled to. You see how it translates into the bigger things? And then you have BMAX. Let me ask you a question, St. Lucia. Why is it that everybody Ernest Hilaire touches or interacts with has questionable question marks behind their name? Jufali question mark. This one question mark. Alexander Milosevic question mark. Where Ernest Hilaire get that man? Has he told us? Who introduced him to him? Did he do any background check on him, find out who he is and whatever? All of a sudden, questionable character. I mean, why can't you get people who are of good reputation, Mr. Hilaire? Why can't you interact with people of good? Everybody you interact with, lani question mark. How are we? We must ask ourselves that question, St. Lucia. All right? We must ask ourselves that question. So as I open the line, I want to ask you a question. Rick said that last night, and I was watching Rick on team last night. I want you to ask the question. How do you feel going to bed at night knowing that this man is the one controlling your destiny? And that's a question for Andre, and a question for you, and a question for me. How do I feel going to bed night after night knowing that this is the man controlling my destiny? This man is the deputy prime minister. He's been situated by the prime minister. The prime minister is covering up everything for him, you know. Andrew, I want you to ask yourself a question. When Ernest Hilaire came down to St. Lucia with the Range Rover and he had to go and register it at infrastructure and he didn't have the documents, was there a call made? Because there's an affidavit that is signed that a call was made by somebody higher up to say register the vehicle whether he has documents or not. Oh, and who was the Minister of Infrastructure at the time? Do you recall? It was Philip J. Pierre. He was the Minister of Infrastructure. What was his involvement in the registration or the illegal registration of that vehicle? Did he play any part? So let me tell you something. When he comes and he says, my hands are clean, you can't find anything on me, I didn't do nothing and whatever. Licky in the background, he's the puppet master pulling all the strings. Pa mind you, because Guamundu Sipan Sutua is by Jenny Volley. So he has people covering up for them. And that's how they work. When will you stop being a peasant in your own country, St. Lucia? When will you stand up for your grandchildren and the future of your children? When will you stand up? It's time to stand up. So we will open the lines and we will take your calls this morning if you have any questions or concerns. But St. Lucia, it's time to stand up. Andre will give you the number both for the WhatsApp and the landline.
Okay, the fixed line is 572-9710, 572-9710, or you can WhatsApp 287-0971. WhatsApp is 287-0971. Again, the fixed line 572-9710, or WhatsApp 287-0971. We have somebody on the WhatsApp platform.
Hello?
Okay. Hi, good morning. Caller, thank you for calling with the opposition.
Good morning, Nancy. Good morning, Nancy. Very nice hearing you and
morning.
The information you put in out there. I really appreciate it. I have a question though. The special prosecutor, is he saying that all matters that took place before he was appointed, he can do nothing about it? Is that what he actually saying?
That is what I understand. And if Mr. Chico is listening, I know, Mr. Chico, if you can just give us a summary. We don't need to go into the lengthy of it. But if Mr. Chico is listening, maybe he can call us and just read us that line. But as I heard, I listened to him on another show, and he called, and that's what, in essence or in summary, the special prosecutor was saying to him, that I have read, I have understood. He went through all the rigmarole, but he's saying a lot of the matters that you have highlighted, they happened before my time, and therefore it's not within my purview. That's what I'm understanding.
So you know where I'm getting out of that, because his main goal was to go after the previous administrations. So if that's the case, this year is not special prosecutor then. How is he going to pursue that?
I don't know, caller. These are the questions we must ask. I don't know.
Right, but really, we need to press on that and get the facts. We need to, because, I mean, if I have to vote, I need to know exactly who I'm voting for and what I'm voting for. You got to stand for something, all right? So we can't just be talking, and then get the truth out. And I really appreciate what you're doing. More people need to start doing it, so at least we're educated. That doesn't mean I'm voting for you. I'm going to get the SIP, but at least I'm going to make them educated or when I'm ready to vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, caller. Thank you so much for calling. And that these are some of the things. We have another call. Good morning, caller. Thank you for calling with the opposition.
Good morning, Brother Paul, and good morning, Nancy.
Good morning. Good morning. How are
sir.
you, my brother?
Nancy, as you were talking there, I remember the previous government took a loan to build a brand new terminal airport. A brand new airport in Viewport. You heard that of that? You know that of that?
I don't think they had taken a loan yet, caller. Did they? I don't think so.
Now, the reason why I mentioned the airport, the part of the catering services where they are cooking at the airport, I think it collapsed. The sink went down. It's sinking.
Mm-hmm.
That happened overnight, last night.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
Now, all of these I'm saying, meaning, you cannot tell me in today's world, every small little island like St. Vincent, Dominica, have an international airport, and only from the time I know myself, I hear about Euro International Airport, nothing has never been done except one person that had that airport in mind to do something, that was Alan Chasney. And every time I see that project, stop then and see. And I'm seeing this nonsense, this little patch in Reno doing there and there, walking for the little sidewalk there, little footpath there. That is upsetting me. I cannot understand why we abandon that previous thing there and go back there and do that nonsense. That roof that collapsed there last night, that piece of that thing at the catering service on that airport there, we would not have all of that thing to do. That airport is leaking when it's raining. I don't know whether SLASPA does not hear that. It is leaking big time. And that airport cannot be an international airport.
Well,
they might have to downgrade that airport. It cannot be an international airport.
Well, thank you, caller, because I've heard that before. I have friends who work at the airport. I have friends who work at SLASPA as well. And I can certainly tell you that a lot of what is happening there is political, Andre. A lot of it is they can't move unless the minister says to them that they have to move and jump and do this, etc. And at the end of the day, it is St. Lucia and the reputation of St. Lucians at stake, because these politicians are fooling around. You understand? If the Prime Minister had any pride, Andre, do you think Philip J.P. would leave St. Lucia, go to Dominica, a country that does not get 1/4 of the tourists and the airlines that we get? You understand, Andre? And you go to a sword turning ceremony for an international airport for Dominica? Andre, St. Vincent and the Grenadines has an international airport, you know. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines pan in your hotel, go se pes hotel set lisi. You understand? And they have an international airport. And for 3 years, you have been sitting on the reconstruction of an international airport. The loan was taken by the last administration from the Taiwanese. We have taken the loan, drawn down, project has come in. You stop the project, and 3 years later, and every time it rains, we keep getting the calls that the airport is leaking, pieces falling, etc. I mean, what is this? And somebody who voted for Labour will tell me you will stand up and defend that, Andre? You can't defend that. We have another call. Good morning, caller. Thank you for calling Meet the Opposition.
Good morning, Nancy. This is Peter Chico. I understood he asked to call you.
Yes, I just wanted you to summarize for us, because we're understanding that based on the letter from the special prosecutor, in summary, is he saying that he understands all, he has identified all the issues and the matters that you've raised, but he's saying that these were things that happened before his tenure, and therefore he cannot proceed or prosecute or something like that. Is that what he's saying? Can you summarize that for us?
Yes, that's basically what he told me, even in the discussion with him.
Okay.
He said to me, and it's written in the I think the first or second paragraph.
Yes, I think you read it.
That the matters, I must understand that these allegations happened prior to the passing of the legislation, and as a result, the legislation, the special prosecutor would not be able to
proceed. So let me ask you a quick question, because I know you're probably busy. I can hear some noise in the background. A quick question. So does that mean that any matters that happened before his time, he would not be able to proceed with or to look into? So all the allegations against everybody prior to him or to the legislation being in place, he can't. Is that what that means in summary?
Yes, that's basically what he's saying.
So what is he there for then?
So, because that's the question I need to get answers for. If the matters would not been you cannot prosecute the matters because it happened prior to the passing of the legislation, then what happens? So he also did indicate to me, and I think it is written somewhere close to the middle of the letter. I don't have the document.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm actually on the road. He actually mentioned to me that the issue, the complaint that against Mr. Emmanuel as well as Mr. Mondesi, the Attorney General, there is, he's recommending further investigation on the basis that they failed to respond to my request for representation. And he wants to find out why, he wants to find out why that he wants to find out why that they did not give me the representation
that you deserve.
That was provided.
All right. Well, thank you, Chico. I can hear that you were a little bit busy. Thank you for clarifying that. We will have a discussion on your letter and in depth a little bit more. But thank you. Have a good day.
Yes, Nancy, no problem.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have another call. Good morning. Morning. Thank you for calling Meet the Opposition.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, Nancy.
Yes.
Non, moi c'est ce start, moi sorti en Slawe pour connaître moi bien.
OK.
Moi j'ai trois questions pour Mando. Première c'est est-ce que vous savez that PD by une femme qui ka rester because on parle about les bail ka bail. On est pour ka consult ces mon which is very true, moi accepter. But est-ce que vous savez that PD by une femme qui ka rester juste au tabou, qui pas jamais en la vie point plan en gros. Les gros cantois en Slawi. Qui a été ça bon. Il valait almost $400,000 pour build un canal en Slawi. Et tout que of cela, qu'a monté ça moi qui ka prend l'ordre combien decades moun la ka prend l'ordre et la partie une pièce consultation. Moi vraiment do est ou parti là sans ça. Est ou parti là les yo Bill Center et yo mette chowol là en le canal là de Center. Et à présent, il peut affecter netball foot là. Et even moun qui fait canal là, en disant canal là, croiser fence fil là, et il pas jamais tourner de garder pour lui. Moi, je veux savoir, just avant l'élection, fait Dominique Fédé, by project ça. Nadia Mado, est-ce que pas là, les deux buildings, dans le billboard en mer, en Slawe, les croiser, Oni Community Center nous, côté nous déjà habitué, puis, il s'était son nous yo croisé avec yo pas ni pièce sous en dedans. Est-ce ou pas là? Est-ce ou kay dit nous la vérité that building ça square qui en Slawe c'est part of project ça. Est-ce ou kay dit nous la vérité that ou kay mener fait pour dire nous côté l'argent ça aller moi une autre question encore pour vous. Je vais répondre moi ces questions ça because ou connaître moi connaître tout bien. Moi ça respect pour moi ici pour disrespect.
Moi ça OK do what and bomb question. Moi pas ça en Slawe so moi pas connaître tout issue en Slawe.
Mais moi
hold on moi couteau so en parler. Ma sorte Slawe ma connaître tout issue en Slawe. Moi kay point trois questions dis moi trois questions moi matcher toi. Moi voulais me your question.
Allez. Hold on. Moi oublier ça. Souffler. Est-ce qu'on partait en gouvernement les 7 millions c'est bail pour vaccine et nous pas même savent qui moun qui te moun pour une vaccine from na.
OK.
Den Dominique PD fait point en lower upper house là. Et il dit si nous savons nous pas la vaccine là ayache il passe nous pas parler là. Est-ce qu'on partait
Martin Dominique te dit ça so te me répondre toute question là. Nous kay commencer avec dernière question so pas chever ligne là because nous ni l'autre monde qui pour couiller. $7 million vaccine. $7 million vaccine.
Do you want her to hold the line?
No, she can hang up. I'll answer. $7 million vaccine.
Okay,
That's a non-issue because even Premier Ministre Philippe JP a parlé about ça. La partie Gemini Pierre Sigwe about ça. Moun la yo te bay la han pour gagner vaccine son non moun ils sont businessman in investment set lisi in test set lisi Ek sa nou toujou ka di, ek Premier Ministre JP di sa lodjou la ite New York, ite an dan meeting, i di dat ki moun la ha pay back a good portion of l'argent, se lestan l'argent, moun a ite pay l'argent pou imene moun l'audience, ek ki ka espere l'audience la pou pay lestan l'argent. So nou sav ko l'argent ye, nou sav ki moun ki bay l'argent, sa pat an secret. La i ka vini pou health center, ek ki ka vini pou retaining wall la. Kola se bay sa, se pa Dominique Fede ka supervise li. Lani Omun from ministry. In fact, let's look at the health center. NIPRO is the one responsible for the health center. NIPRO is an entity that has engineers, technicians, and all these people. So if a health center is built, they're responsible for the design, for the drainage, for everything and where it goes. So how do you hold the minister responsible for that? If the minister has done nothing, if you all have complained about it and he's done nothing as your MP, etc., that's another story. But ou pas sa chebe yon ministre West Kosab pou an building ki fet ek NIPRO, ebe engineer ek se technician a pa fan bon travay. Ou kompon ek sa, this one went out to tender. That was not given directly, you know. In terms of the health center, it went out to tender. And the sewage place that you're talking about, the building by the sea, mwen to apo one grateful. Because Dominic builds a building sa pour make sure that any restaurant and Airbnb to generate economic activities for Ancillary right there in Ancillary. When he lost the election, the only thing that was missing, Andre, was the sewer system for the building. It is 3.5 years now. When Girard is in office, ou pa have a sewage tank pour sa ouvert facility ya? Puchu ka fe Jean Aslawe Meshos Sala that you have that building that Fede built. It has a restaurant, it has Airbnb that can generate economic activity, give jobs, create jobs. Fishermen can sell their stuff. Farmers can sell their stuff, Andre. And you telling me because of a sewage facility that it doesn't even cost $100,000 to build, that when Girard cannot find the money to build it and open the facility? Place la fermé la, ek personne pas a joindre accès ba la ka gâté la. Ek zo pa hen accès se ka kouye mwen, mande mwen about building by the sea. Ou suppose pour te route kola, pour ka kouye mwen mande santé pour ka me pressure la when Girard pour di Dominique Fede commence fini. That's what government is about. When one person starts something, you finish it in the interest of the country. Anyway, we have another call.
Okay. We have somebody else on the WhatsApp platform.
On the WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, caller. Thank you. Thank you for calling.
Morning.
Morning to you, my lady. You had asked me to call because that is not a program I just called or listen to much false.
That's the caller.
Yes.
That's Usa Pale Pato. Se o ki kuye lodge koute di about tell Babono te for me. Okay.
Wakwila Talvan Estate.
Right. How can I help you today? And thank you, Temoru. Merci because ute do pa akute program rek ukute ijoria. Merci.
I thought you honestly. Because I'm there doing something there. They come out. Later about 9:30, mo commence écouter, ma ka quitter chaque lenga quitter ay parce nga fait
OK. Pas ni problème. Qui me we sa bon matin.
Pour valider moi rester mettre ba tête moi mettre chez moi because they Masadu Gomama more at 94 years.
Right.
My mom passed away at 95. 9 days to her birthday. She born 24th of September. She died and she passed away on the 25th of August. 9 days to her birthday and she passed away. Now when my grandmother passed, she was about 94 going to 95 years now. Talvan is a place I know, maybe from the time maybe I was maybe 4 years, maybe or less, or could be more, I going on that property. I know that my grandfather, great-grandfather, my four parents, that was their property. Now, all my life I was on that land and stuff. Then it was about 12 years after my grandmother passed away. Her name was Selina John or Silesia Samuel. And with my uncle, my grand-uncle was Smith John. He used to be a butcher in Talvan. They used to call him Tosi Smith and stuff. And Semilien Samuel, he used to live in Suriname and stuff. And his children, I do not know his children. Now, what I want to know, how Talvan become now government property? That's what I can't understand.
Okay.
Now, I do not know. Trust me. Now, hear that, When Andrea used to work on Radio 100, I used to always call that program.
Right.
Mr. Ezekiel called a day and said that when he heard me speaking, because I always used to call, he said that is private property. Nobody not supposed to be involved in that. And guess who that was? Is Ezekiel himself. Then another time I call again. Guess who that called and answer and said that what that lady is saying, I have to have a truth behind it, because that lady continues saying the same thing. Is Mr. Richard Frederick. So why now all of them is in a thing about my family property? And I want to build my house. I'm in a situation out there where I'm not feeling comfortable.
And your family have property and whatever. So caller, let me tell you what I'll do.
I'm not
Hold on.
Listen,
let me tell you what I want to do, because this is a matter that I don't think we can discuss on the air. I will give you my number, and you will call me after the show. We will have a discussion, and I can see how best I can guide you and who I can send you to, so we can clearly understand what happened to your family's property, whether the government did a compulsory acquisition, whether they took it, what happened, and then we can see how we can guide you to get somebody to assist in you and your family in finding out what happened to the property. Because if we take all the time on the show, so take my number down, write my number.
Just now, one second. Let me tell you something. I am not really concerned about my entire family right now. Huh?
I know.
It's just that
that's okay.
For years, I want to build my house. That is the land I love. That is the land I love so much, and I was brought up on it.
Yeah.
And I seen other people now enjoying my family land.
I agree.
And buying land of things. And I myself, for so long, I'm in a situation where I'm not happy where I'm living.
Okay.
I don't really want to live there. And my family had an endless of land. Where now, if I want to go to Albany, I cannot get a spot there.
Take my number. Do you have a pen? Do you have a pen to write it?
Yes, I have a pen.
Okay, write it. It's 285 66 46. Yes, and call me. I'll call me anytime you're ready, after the show, later today, tomorrow, over the weekend. We will sit down. We'll have a chat so I can clearly understand what happened, and then I will see how I can guide you. No problem. That's fine. Thank you so much, caller. Thank you.
Yes.
Alrighty. Thank you. All right. We have another call because we're getting ready to wrap up.
We do.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, caller. Thank you for calling Meet the Opposition.
Yes. I'm listening to the talk which you have been talking throughout the morning.
Yes.
And part of it I heard you saying, it's true your position when the position is to oppose, but to me oppose constructively.
Right.
Right? So I am hearing liar. I don't know if St. Lucia turn into a lying country. I am saying St. Lucia, every 5 years we change a government. When one starts something, then the other one will not finish. Right? This is not good for the country.
Agreed.
Right? Also, 5 years is not enough for a country for a government to show all, to please the people of the country. 5 years is not enough. But as soon as 5 years, we're not pleased, and you did not do that, and you did not do that, and then they stop. I heard you talking about how they change the control of customs. Before Mr. Chico, how many controls of customs were changed?
There were maybe I think there was Miss Montoot, and I don't know who was before her.
Because I could recall, because of that same case with Hilaire, Mr. Shastny had to change custom.
No, actually it was not. It was not because of the case caller. So the controller before Miss Montoot, I think like their retirement came to an end. Like, people have to go on retirement. Their retirement came to an end. And then you had Miss Montoot in the position. And then I think Miss Montoot was transferred to another department. And then Mr. Chico.
Yes. Transferred. Right? Because the person didn't want to do the job that was done.
I think that's an allegation. That's an allegation that we cannot substantiate.
Okay,
but you're free to say it. It's an allegation we can't substantiate. Because I was there. And I don't know that this is why. But
all right, and I'm saying that they change until they get to Chico, and Chico agreed to take the case and continue.
But let me ask you a question. Do you think? Let me hold on. Let's just go to Mr. Chico. Do you think that Mr. Chico took the matter to court without any merit, and that there was no merit in the case? because Mr. Chico did what was right. And if you followed me from last week and this week in terms of what transpired, don't you think that as a country we deserved an answer to find out what happened in the case of the car? Why was the car purchased in the name of the High Commission, shipped to St. Lucia, and then transferred to the name of an individual? Don't you as a St. Lucian think that we ought to know what happened and why?
I, as a St. Lucian, wants to know everything that is right for my country.
Good.
I love my country and I'm proud of my country.
I'm very loving that.
But I am saying now, why didn't the other lady who was there before Mr. Chico take the case and take it to court?
I don't think I don't think at the time that there was sufficient a lot of the information that was required to take the matter to court was not available to Miss Anita Montut at the time. So that's why I'm saying to you, people are alleging that Miss Montut was transferred because of that, but it was never because of that, because when Anita was there, I can certainly tell you that a lot of the documents that were required to take the matter to court, there was an investigation, people had to go to the UK, all kinds of things. She didn't have access to all that information, so she could not have taken it to court.
Again, you're saying I did not have proof, but you are giving me allegation just the same way.
It's not an allegation. I'm telling you why she didn't take it to court, because she did not have the requisite information at the time. The information became available only when Mr. Chico came in, and at last minute as well. So let's not accuse her of anything when she didn't do anything wrong.
Let me say another thing about again, when I said when one party starts something, the other one are finishing. This OKU hospital was completed, ready to be for the change. All right. Why is it that when UWP came into power, that they took so long? It was only
to open it.
COVID who had them to move to that hospital.
Okay, thank you, caller. We'll continue the conversation next week because we're out of time. I'll answer that question and we will end on that note. But please feel free next week to call again and we can continue on other matters. So let me explain OKEU. I want St. Lucia to understand, because we're getting ready to wrap up. When we came into office, OKEU, there was a naming ceremony by the St. Lucia Labour Party. OKEU was completed under the St. Lucia Labour Party. Get that straight. It was completed. There was a ceremony to name it. I don't know if you remember that, Kenny Anthony. Everybody came and they had this huge ceremony. And when they finished, they closed back the hospital. The hospital was not open. It stayed there a year. It stayed there 2 years. Then elections were called in 2016 and we came into office. When we came into office, the then Prime Minister Alan Shasney, the Minister of Health, they did a tour of OKEU and they recognized quite a few things. One was that because the place was closed and the AC was not running, it was very hot and humid. You had a lot of machines, MRI machines, X-ray machines, all kinds of equipment in their color, and this equipment had gone bad. Some of the parts needed to be replaced because they had left it closed. You also had the defects liability time on some of them. So you couldn't go to the company and say you need to replace the part because the time frame for you to make that claim, like a warranty, it had passed, and so they couldn't do it. The second thing we also recognized was that in order to run the hospital, we needed X amount of cash. You needed certain money. You couldn't run both VH and OKEU at the time. And so we were working on the health insurance to ensure that there was some money coming in to run OKEU. So all of that, there's a plan and the vision. You can't just open brap and you have a hospital. So whilst we were working on the health insurance, we were trying to ensure there would be a fixed income coming for OKEU. We also recognized that you needed to have proper structures and operating procedures to run OKEU. And that is why we had discussions with Cayman Health City to get Cayman Health City to come in on a consultancy basis and to be able to provide the requisite operating standard procedures, because you know people have bad habits, Andre. If they're doing something a particular way, put them in a new place and they're doing the same bad thing. We wanted to change the culture and the mindset of the stuff the staff, the nursing people, everybody to go into a new facility, new maintenance, new everything. And so we contracted Cayman Health City to come in to help us with that transition. So we would transition with health insurance to make sure that there's money to operate it. We would transition with new equipment because we had to source and fix all the bad equipment, and to also transfer with new standard operating procedures, so you would now go into a fresh facility. However, once we started that process, Cayman Health City was getting ready to come. COVID happened, and we were forced now. We didn't have a choice. We needed a respiratory clinic, so we were forced to open prematurely. And that's why we went into OKEU prematurely. But the plan was to go into a proper facility, nice and new, with all the requisite things that we needed. So, Caller, it was not a matter of not finishing. It was a matter of ensuring that we continue to make sure that when we are given something, we take care of it. And look at what's happening at OKEU today. The consultancy with Cayman Health City was done. The report is there. And they have implemented nothing in that report, Caller. And that's why today there's no money because they stopped the health insurance. There's no operating procedure because they did not implement anything that was contracted. And today people are dying in wheelchairs all in the aisle. And the Medical and Dental Association say it has never been so bad in this country. And that's because of the bad decision of this government in OKEU. Caller, I hope next week we can talk again. I loved hearing your voice, and we had some really new calls today. St. Lucia, I want to read something to you. I want to close off with reading this thing to you. And it is meant to make you think as we go into the festive season. Despite our political differences, St. Lucians were once proud to call themselves Lucians, no matter where they went or lived in the world. But unfortunately, this sense of pride that we once held so dear has been swept away by Philip J. Pierre and the St. Lucia Labour Party. But in spite of all this, I call on all St. Lucians today, here and abroad, to keep your head. Do not give up on St. Lucia. St. Lucia needs you. Let us all work together to reinstate the UWP and to rewrite and to ignite the pride once again to be called a St. Lucian. St. Lucia, this is how I want to end this note. We need to reinstill that pride in us, being a damn proud Lucian, as the song says. And we cannot allow politics to be what divides us. We have to ensure that we do what is right for our country, our children, and our children's children. This has been another edition of Meet the Opposition. I hope I got you to think. I hope I got you to analyze. I hope I got you to realize and reflect that this country belongs to all of us. As you go over the weekend, be safe, St. Lucia. Enjoy yourself, but ensure that you think of your friends, your family. We're entering into the festive season. Think of your neighbors and your family. Thank you very much, and have a good weekend. Bye.
Thank you, Nancy Charles, the host of Meet the Opposition, heard on Rev Up St. Lucia every Thursday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So listen next week Thursday for another Meet the Opposition. Well, this is where I end my stint here on Rev Up St. Lucia for today. Thanks for listening. Join me tomorrow morning, God willing, same time from 5 o'clock for another Wake Up and Live. Now stand by for Tony Paul. He's next. He'll be with you until 3 this afternoon on the Rev Up Center. And from 3 until 6 is going to be Zen the DJ with Afternoon Overdrive. Andre Paul wishing you a great day. Bye-bye.
Join the United Workers' Party this and every Thursday on Rev Up St. Lucia 97.1